Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Boo, Buck, and Blue podcast. It's great to have you with us. Welcome back, boys. Hey, Dustin Johnson, Masters champion. Probably the fuzziest shoulders on any Masters champion ever. You could see the hairs periscoping over his shirt.
I did not notice that.
I don't know why I noticed it, but then I remembered who his wife is, and I'm like, hey, good for you, fuzzy shoulders. Good for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say does he even need to win the Masters to be the most successful man in the world?
He's winning at life.
He's winning at life. That is for sure.
Before the podcast, I was giving Jimmy the old Dustin Johnson cocaine stories, because Jimmy was unaware that he did miss almost a full year because he had to do rehab for failing cocaine twice and marijuana once within like a 9-month span or something. Or no, it was like a 2-year span.
Yeah, now he's got his shit together. Now he's killing everybody.
Yeah, I just imagine that when you're 24 years old, you're on the PGA Tour, and your girlfriend's Paulina Gretzky, and you're doing coke and having the best time. Like, I don't condone doing drugs, and I never have. But all I'm saying is, I'm glad he got his shit together because now he is a force. And I was telling Jimmy, he's got a swagger about him that is similar to, like, Ross, like how Freddie Couples was when he played.
Yeah.
Where it didn't look like he walked, it just looked like he glided across the golf course, and he was just the calmest, like, easygoing guy. It looks like he's just out there having fun on a weekend, Well, that's how Dustin Johnson plays.
Yeah, and like I think the craziest thing about the Masters was like on Saturday, the last time I checked, there was like a 10-way tie for first place.
Yeah.
And then Dustin Johnson just turned it on. And then ended Saturday, I think, with a 4-stroke lead. I think it was 4-stroke. And then just smashed everybody on Sunday. I was like, because when I looked, I was like, holy shit. I was like, we got like a 10-way tie going into Masters Sunday. Like, this Sunday is going to be so awesome. And then I checked again, and I was like, all right, never mind. Like, never mind, it's over.
He could have cruised on Sunday. I mean, obviously, he dropped a bunch. What did he shoot on Sunday?
I'll have to look it up. But I know Tiger shot a 10 on one hole.
Yeah.
Wait, who did?
Tiger. On a par 3, hit it into the water twice.
Oh, yeah.
Was not his best showing.
No.
I'm looking it up here. Dustin Johnson's finished. He shot a 68.
That's pretty good. So 4 under on Sunday is not bad.
Yeah, so he went. Well, yeah, he started with par, then he went birdie, bogey, birdie, and then from there out, he was like par better. He had 4 more birdies and was par the rest of the way. Like he was pretty much lights out from there. And yeah, he ended up winning by 5.
But, so Jimmy and I were talking. Who has the lowest score in the match? It has to be Woods from 97. I just looked it up, but he had a 270. What's that? 270 divided by 70. I don't know math. I'm terrible at it. But I just remember the performance that Tiger had in 97 just dominated the whole field. That was his huge coming out party, and he won by like legitimately like 15 or 20 strokes.
Yeah, but they did talk about it down Sports Talk in Oklahoma City area, and I forgot what name they said. But there's only been one guy that has shot in the 60s for all 4 rounds. And it's some dude I didn't know his name. Like, because Tiger Woods on that day, Ryan, that you said like he smashed it. He ended up shooting a 70 on Monday, on Thursday, and then went off and just blew through everybody the rest of the time.
Yep. But next year, and then they extended the course by 1,000 yards the next year, or something like that. That's when back in the day, I remember you guys the term Tiger proofing courses.
I remember that.
He literally had created his own. They created their own term to keep Tiger Woods from just torching courses that he shouldn't torch.
Well, yeah. Well, and it's pretty funny because talking about torching courses and doing it, if you guys listened last week, me and Ryan were very high on Bryson DeChambeau. And, we talked about it, but, there's some sayings in all, like a lot of sports that, I mean, everybody knows them, but and they don't think much of it, but they come, they have a purpose and they're there for a reason. And it is drive for show, putt for dough.
Yeah.
And people say that and they think it's a joke. Like, no, it's real. Like Bryson DeChambeau, he didn't drive the ball terribly. There was a couple bad, but I think on the first 2 days he was averaging 3 putts each green.
Yeah, that ain't good. And
it's still better than me.
Was he the guy that was using the anchor? Was he the guy that used the anchored putter? And when they banned the anchored putter, he had to learn how to putt again. I'm pretty sure he was.
You're talking about the long ones.
I think the one you shove into your. You're still not able to use the long one. You can't use the one where you shove into your belly button. Those guys that used to anchor the putter into their stomach, and I think he was one of those guys. So, which he was really, really good at that. He's kind of one of the reasons. I'll have to look that up. So in '97, Tiger won by 12 strokes. He did shoot 18 under, which is not 20 under, but he won by 12 strokes that year, which
that's
is
insane.
Unreal.
Yeah. Well, that was the change. That's what brought golf to the masses. Tiger Woods is a legend, and it's not even a question. Yep. Anybody who questions Tiger Woods or says he's overrated doesn't know shit.
You just kind of wish. I don't have to get into a Tiger Woods spiel, but I wish. Good golfers, golfers that are in it for the long run adjust their swings to extend their careers, I guess. I guess that's the easy way to say it. I don't know. Like, he didn't really adjust the swing until it was too late. Like, he had some pretty heavy medical issues, like knee issues, back issues. Yeah. So but then again, John Daly never changes. John Daly all those issues. But John Daly, obviously, John Daly wasn't the caliber Tiger Woods was, but he did win some majors. I know he won the British Open. I don't know. Did he win like the PGA or something else? But he swung harder than anybody. And
he won the U.S.
I think he won the coolest golfer of all time award.
Yeah, smoking a Gert and drinking a Miller Lite on the course is great.
By the way, I don't know anything about John Daly, but if you want to get into a cheating on the wife contest, I guarantee John Daly beats everybody on tour. Look at where he's cheated on.
You talk about you got a difference there. You got Tiger, and then you got John Daly.
Yeah.
I'm sure Tiger's more quality, John Daly's more quantity.
It's political. That's what it's baked into the cake with John Daly. Like they say that about Trump, where it's like baked into the cake. Like it's baked into the cake with John Daly. We're gonna get
pretty much
6
Looking at Daly. Daly won the PGA Championship in '91 and the British Open in '95.
There you go. Okay, so I was
still
pretty close.
A legend.
Yep. Yeah. He was 5'11", 250 pounds. Oh, that's bullshit.
So let's move on. Hey, we all love golf. We love talking about golf. I miss golfing with you guys, to be honest with you. But let's move on. College football.
Right.
Football. Yeah. What are we all thinking this week?
Don't want to talk about it.
So this is one thing I want to bring up. I was thinking today. We talk college football, and I think I know college football pretty well. But last week when we did our picks, we were laughing at the fact that they picked an unranked Tulsa over ranked SMU.
Yeah,
and then unranked, and then Tulsa beat them. Yep. And then we were laughing about unranked Virginia Tech against number 9 Miami. I think they were at the time, and Miami won, but by 1. It was
by the skin. It was a late touchdown.
Yeah, so I was like, after I said that, I was like, yeah, these Vegas guys know what the hell they're talking about. Like,
Am I crazy? But didn't I not see like SMU up like 21-0 or something like that?
They were up like 24-3 or something.
24-3 at halftime, and then Tulsa just came roaring back.
Yeah,
Tulsa's not a bad football team. I've said that. No, I think we've said that a couple times.
Yeah, I think Tulsa's a lot better than usual. Obviously they're ranked number 25. They're actually ranked for the first time in like 15, 20 years, which is good for them. Yeah. Oklahoma's got 3 teams ranked. Good job.
The Gales.
The Gales?
Isn't that what they're called?
No, they're the Golden Hurricane.
Who's the Gales?
Not them.
Okay.
Not them. The Golden Hurricane.
Because I'm thinking Gale Force wins.
Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah. Anyways,
Hold on, be quiet. I'm thinking. No, go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, Tulsa is better. I agree with that. But yeah, I think, big thing I think that showed the most is Michigan is really, really,
Michigan's
really
bad.
bad. They are bad, guys.
I had to look it up. Jimmy, Lancaster, Ohio, the Lancaster Golden Gales.
They're not the only ones. Why are they the Golden Gales in the middle of Ohio?
It's not even the real the only Lancaster is Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And we all know that.
Well, you just looked up that there's 2 of them, so
it's not true.
They're lying.
Everybody knows that everything on the internet is true.
It's true. But yeah, Michigan's really, really bad.
They have okay. So me being the gigantic Michigan fan that I am.
Yeah, this is going to come real great.
Listen, I hate Michigan. As much as Ross hates Texas, I would love to see them continue to lose. But here's the truth. And Ross, you can be with me on this one. Do you want to beat a bad Texas team, or do you want to beat a good Texas team?
I want to fucking beat them. I don't care if they're good or bad. As long as I beat them, I don't care.
Ross, what makes you happy? Texas getting beat by 40 points against Kansas, or Texas being good?
Texas getting beat by Kansas. I would love to watch Texas get beat by Kansas.
There it is.
That would be the greatest thing in the world.
My mindset is destroying their livelihood. When they're coming in, I think of the 2018 revenge tour. Do you remember that? Remember when Michigan was on a revenge tour? Like, we're on a revenge tour.
What was that?
And the only one left was Ohio State. It was Devin Bush.
No, the guy had like long blonde hair.
Chase Winovich.
Yes.
Yeah, Winovich. Yeah.
Chase Winovich. He was the face of the. By the way, don't dislike Chase Winovich. Great guy, great football player, great leader. The only problem is he played for Michigan, so
like Tom Brady.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't dislike Tom Brady, but F him. Anyway, yeah, the Revenge Tour 2018, and then we're coming to Columbus on a revenge tour, and Michigan was favored, and then they lost by 40 points. It was great. It made me very happy.
That's a good point, Jimmy.
And Jimmy, who called it on that game?
You did call it. I was concerned, that is for sure. And you're like, no, they're going to blow them out of the water, and they did.
Yeah, I was like, they haven't seen an offense like you guys yet. They haven't even seen an offense. Because the one time they played Penn State, because that's when you guys had McSorley. McSorley got hurt and only played like a quarter. And so everybody's like, well, they still have Penn State. I was like, yeah, Penn State didn't have their quarterback. So that's not their offense. And then the one offense they played at full strength, you guys absolutely just bent them over and aimed for penetration. It was bad. But
made me laugh. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
Like beating up on a bad Michigan team. It's not as fun. It's not as fun for me.
It's quite fun for me, regardless.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the Michigan train, Ross and I, we discussed, or I guess we all discussed this before the podcast. I was under the impression that Michigan would never let go of Harbaugh in the middle of the season, but it's got to be getting pretty damn close.
Well, now that I thought about this, Ryan, and I remember because you were gone, and actually now that my memory is getting jogged, Jimmy brought it up. So there's Michigan's only got like 3 or 4 games left. Jim Harbaugh still has a $10 million buyout to get rid of him. So it's either suck it up for 3 more games and save $10 million. Because like you said, they're not going to get any better or any worse. Like, fuck it, just let them play out, save $10 million, or put in an interim coach, which, okay, you're still probably going to lose your last 2 games and you're $10 million out the hole.
Yeah, I guess that makes some sense.
Is that in addition
start
to
start your search now and start making calls.
Yeah,
now,
no, absolutely.
Like, finding your guy,
No, I agree with that. They need to sit there and be like, call their guy and be like, listen, he knows he's not going to be here. We know he's not going to be here. Do you want to be the coach of Michigan?
Yep.
Because there are some good guys out there that, like, our coaches. We've talked about, Luke Fickell's going to be. Oh no, Luke Fickell's not going to Michigan because he's born and bred Ohio boy.
No way, no how.
But there's Hugh Freeze, there's the Louisville or the Louisiana guy. I guess the Frank Beamer's son, Shane, who's the assistant head coach and tight ends coach at OU, is big on people are high on him and want him. So they've got some guys, but those big names, they're going to go quick. I mean, South Carolina's already looking. Michigan's be looking. Depending what Texas does, Texas might be looking. We don't know.
Yeah. Ohio State got a gigantic head start on everybody in that conference when they hired Urban Meyer after Jim Tressel was resigned.
They did.
Yeah.
And it's like Ryan, you said last week, Michigan might be the toughest job in the entire country because you got to go up against Ohio State and your expectations are that high.
Yeah.
You know? And you're going to be, it's going to be real difficult to find anybody who's going to be able to live up to the train that Ohio State is right now. Barring anything negative happening at Ohio State, which is always a possibility. Sanctions, scandal, all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's the only way I see Michigan able, or even Penn State for that matter, to be able to get up to Ohio State's level is something happening to Ohio State at this point, because that train's rolling, man. Ryan Day has lost one game, and that was against Clemson.
I know, and that's the toughest thing about the Big Ten is Ohio State swings for home runs and hits home runs they swing for the fences and hit it out of the park every single time. Like you look at Michigan, you look at they got the money and they got the pedigree and they can get any coach in there they want, and this is really bad for Michigan because yes, if Harbaugh had all these winning seasons, which he does, he has some pretty good seasons, but he loses to Michigan State and he always loses to Ohio State. And even I think of
record against ranked opponents is bad.
It's really bad, and it's not like I said that where it's a tough job and you got to come in and beat Ohio State. But step one, beat Michigan State and beat Maryland and beat Purdue and beat Penn State. Like get those out of the way first, and then if you can't do that, you're not even close. Like Michigan's not even in the same ballpark, right?
Well, I think to me, just looking at the Big Ten, Michigan, when we're talking about Ohio State, and they are a train, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're not a train, they are. They have no competition in the Big Ten at all. Like Penn State, you guys in the last, 6-7 years, whatever it's been, definitely came a long way. And
2016, 2017, 2018,
we
were good.
This year is a little anomaly. I think you guys will get back up to that, win 9, 10, 11 games. But even when you guys were that good, we're they could beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
But my money was still on Ohio State. Everybody in the West, Northwestern, Wisconsin's always good, but Wisconsin they don't fare a chance against Ohio State. Don't get me wrong, they're a good team. Yeah, they're always a good team, and don't get me wrong, they play well in the bowl games and everything, and then they meet Ohio State, and it's just smashed.
Bring up
Northwestern played, it would be smashed. Michigan has been trash. Michigan State. Who's their competition, and who's going to be their competition going forward? Next year, Ryan, if you guys, I think this week, what's his nuts, backup quarterback,
Will Levis.
Levis. He played better. He made some good throws. I don't think he's the answers. And if you guys can't find a quarterback, then next year's not going to be much better for you.
No. And so one thing, if we want to get into Penn State, Levis has never had the opportunity to get a full week of knowing that he's going to be the starter. And he made strides in that second half. He came in 2/3 the way through the second quarter, then didn't look very good in the second quarter. I'm sorry, and then he came out in the second half and actually looked pretty good. Made some throws, he had a big play to Freiermuth, and he made some runs, and the offense played better. It looked like the blocking was better. The running game started to work. He might. Jimmy and I were talking about this. If there is a spark that affects the team, he's that, and they'll play harder or tougher.
Has Franklin come out and actually named him the starter for next week?
No, because he hasn't done I don't think he's done a press conference since after the game. So after the game, he says we're not naming a starter directly after a game that we just lost.
Right.
We're not.
Yeah, it makes sense.
He always keeps it close to the chest. But there's no Levis is going to start. I think Clifford's done. I don't think he's going to get another. He might not get another snap in college football. That's how bad he was. But
he was bad, real bad last week.
I'm looking,
it's progressively worse each week.
Yeah.
I'm looking at stats from Levis, and don't get me wrong, he definitely did better from Clifford, which isn't hard.
Yeah, protected the football, didn't fumble.
He did
ran the ball well effectively.
He was 14 for 31, which is not the best percentage in the world.
But thrown out there, that's what I mean. If you get him a full week where he can prepare and say, "Hey, here's the game plan. This is what we're doing. You're gonna get you're going to run the ball 30 times this game, and that's what we're doing because you're a big boy and you can handle it. And then,
so I got a question regarding Penn State in terms of centerpieces of offenses. Ohio State has had centerpieces. Like last year it was J.K. Dobbins, and then next was Justin Fields. Like you had a 1A, 1B.
Well, every legit offense has it.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
Penn State had it. It was McSorley. OU had Baker, Kyler, Jalen.
I don't think it was ever McSorley. Saquon Barkley. Yeah, Saquon Barkley was the centerpiece for several years.
Barkley left, and then it was the Miles Sanders McSorley show. Yep.
Yeah. So what is, and then if you look at Minnesota last year, when Kirk Ciarrocca was in Minnesota, centerpiece was the passing game. It wasn't necessarily the quarterback. It was
that wide receiver,
the quarterback, and their wide receivers. They're great wide receivers. And the question is, what's the centerpiece of the offense at Penn State this year?
It
looks like quarterback because he's running most of the time because you guys are down 2 running backs.
Yep.
And then your quarterback who was thought to be able to step up. You've said it. Like we've said all this before. Like Clifford has just not stepped up to that level, and I don't think
you got to remember we went to Maryland last year. We went to Maryland last year and beat them by 50. And Clifford threw the ball all over the field. Was like Big Ten Player of the Week. He played Maryland this year and got dumpstered. Like the dramatic drop in his play. Like you can blame, and I blamed new offensive coordinator, new offensive line coach. Running this whole new offense and missing your top 2 running backs and all that shit. That doesn't like you should make strides as a quarterback and be better and look around and be like, okay, I lost some players. I got a new offensive coordinator, but I'm going to go out there and make plays and protect the football. Like he is completely taking a shit. But to answer your question, coming into this year, it was Journey Brown and Noah Cain. That was the centerpiece. And Pat Freiermuth, who was highly touted, maybe the best tight end in college football coming into this year. Those were the centerpieces. Yeah. Hey, I got this amazing tight end. I got 2 top running backs. They're really, really good. Those 2 running backs go down. Now all he has is Freiermuth and Jahan Dotson has kind of made a name for himself this year. So you have pieces. Well. Yeah, he is playing well. And you have pieces there that can do stuff. And it's going to change now that it's Will Levis's team, in my opinion. He is going to open up some things for Penn State. I think that he is not saying Penn State's going to just run the table and sneak out 4 wins or whatever. It's like,
I mean, you guys aren't getting to the Big Ten championship. Throw it against the wall. See what sticks.
Right.
Well, like you're ready for next year.
I want to see that freshman. Throw that freshman there.
So there's talks about him, but I mean, if Levis goes out there and runs the offense and they run that whole read option over and over and over again, he's able to do it. I mean, let him do it. And win games. It's at this point, it's about getting the first damn win. It's like Franklin preaches that we're 1-0 after every press conference. After they win a game, we're 1-0. That's all I care about. Next game comes up. Hey, we're 1-0.
Yeah, I will say. And going forward, we'll see how it goes. But it looks like for running back, Devin Ford's your dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 16 carries for almost 70 yards and a touchdown. Not bad.
I like the other 2 guys better, dude. I honestly, Devin Ford's a good complementary running back that can go out there and do some things, but I think the future is Kayvon Lee and Keziah Holmes. I think they're true freshmen, and I think they're better than Devin Ford. But we'll see if they can get more snaps. But they're gonna have to start doing something. But
let's move on. This is not the Penn State podcast, which we always end up doing. Let's move on. What else we got going on this week? By the way, Ross, you had said the last time that you said the weekend was going to be meh, that 5 teams out of the top 10 ended up losing. By the way, that did not happen this week. This week was meh.
Well, first off, because every game was canceled, I think only 2 top 10 teams played this week. True. So give me a break on that one. Only I think it was.
I wasn't hard. I was just saying the truth of the matter is.
Well, I was gonna say, I think
week was meh. It was actually meh.
I really do think that on the of the top 10 teams that this week, I mean, I think Bama was off, Notre Dame played, Ohio State got canceled, Clemson was off. BYU.
Yeah, Bama LSU got canceled. Clemson was off. Notre Dame was off. No, Notre Dame played.
Yeah, no, I said
Notre Dame played Boston College. That was a good game, actually.
So talking about this, and it's gonna be interesting, and this is kind of like a molding of thoughts that I had. I kind of went down my own rabbit hole. Of right now, I think it's Kyle Trask Heisman to lose.
Well, I mean, oh man, Mac Jones'
but
numbers are insane though.
yeah, and then it's going to be like if you look at his numbers through 6 games, he's doing better than Burrow was last year. I think Burrow's completion percentage was about 4 or 5 points higher, but Burrow had like 60 more attempts at the time, and Trask has 3 more touchdowns and the same amount of interceptions. So they're like right there. And granted, Burrow kind of did this, but also you have to think of this. Burrow's stats that we're quoting was against had 2 who gives a fuck games to start the season.
Right.
Against Georgia Southern and forgot what the other one was. So, but with that, how are we going to do the Heisman? Because, when we've got Fields up in Ohio State, he's already 1 game back, so now he's only playing.
This would be his 4th game only.
But when it's over, he's only going to play 7 or 8. If Trask ends up playing 10 with the SEC championship, okay, well, how the hell are you going to compare these numbers? It's 3 games.
Yeah,
like that's a lot. So, and a lot can happen. Either Fields could do great, or he could shit a brick on a game. Like you don't know.
Can I throw this out there? It might be the dumbest thing that's anyone's ever said, but can they do the Heisman after the bowl games, or can they do a Heisman after?
No, they should.
They generally don't. Like it's.
But this year's not general. Like
that's true.
Like especially with these teams not having the games that they like. You almost wish the Heisman committee would be like, "Hey, we're not making our announcement until after the season's over." Maybe, I don't know. Like with that,
yeah.
Because you're right about Justin Fields. I mean, Justin Fields is only going to have. So they do miss a game because of the Corvids, and then so he'll have a max of 7 games going into the playoffs or whatever if they make.
No, he'll have 8 games.
Did you guys play an 8-game series season? He lost 1, and then if he gets the Big Ten championship, that'll put him back at 8.
Yeah, that's
okay.
That's if they make Big Ten championship or whatever those games, I expect them to make the Big Ten championship.
Well, I think everybody expects it, but I think SEC is going to be at 10 games because it's a 9-game season plus the SEC championship. Like, hey, let me look at Florida's schedule, see what it could be. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, how are you going to compare that? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
It's going to be listen, they can vote however they want to vote.
Yeah,
it could be average per game, and I don't know.
Yeah,
this is where like I get into the whole when it comes to the playoffs, like especially this year over any other. You lean less on the resume and more on how like what do you think is the best team, like eye test and like. Who do you think is playing the best right now? Wisconsin could win all of their games and dominate everybody, but only have, whatever they're going to have 5 games or 7 games or whatever it is. But if they look amazing, like you gotta kind of lean more on that instead of the resume of only having 7 games. Like,
well,
I'm sure the SEC is losing a lot of fucking games too now. So it's. Yeah, the SEC's thing was like, well, we're playing 10 games and all these other teams aren't playing all these games or whatever it is. And
well, so right now, Florida's only had 1 game postponed and they actually moved it to the end of the season. So if they get past the rest of the season with the COVID, which is a big thing, they're going to play 10 games in the regular season and an SEC championship, which I think is the same amount of games Burrow played, or most people play in the regular season, right? 11 games?
11. Up to 12 for a championship game.
Yeah, so they'll going to have 1 less game. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, Ryan. And, like, don't get me wrong, Justin Fields is looking – he's walking on water up there at Ohio State. But regardless, I mean, with 3 games if it ends up being 3 games less or whatever, regardless of how Justin Fields looks – if Kyle Trask's numbers continue and he looks like the numbers that Burrow had, like how do you not give it to him regardless?
And also, Kyle Trask doesn't have the luxury of playing the Big Ten, which is effing awful. Like,
it's not good.
Hey, Justin Fields' numbers might be great, but I'm not saying there should be an asterisk, and you're talking to a Big Ten fan here, but damn near. I mean, the Big Ten is so stinking bad this year. Like they are just terrible, and Ohio State should just run through the rest of the Big Ten. Their hardest game going into the year, we thought their hardest game would be Penn State, which actually Penn State played a decent, like as bad as Penn State's been all year.
Second half was very good.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised in the way Penn State played in the second half. But I mean, their toughest game might be this week against Indiana. like until the Big Ten championship if they play Wisconsin possibly, you know. But I'd have to look at like Florida's schedule. I mean, I'm sure Florida has been playing a lot tougher teams this year, right?
Yeah, I want to say I haven't really gotten down and dug into their schedule. I know Kyle Trask has been playing lights out.
Yeah.
He's got receivers everywhere. And they're not even like top end receivers. Like Shorter is there now, former 5-star. Pitts, who could possibly
has
be
has he even caught a pass yet this year though?
Yeah,
he did a touchdown.
Did he really? Good.
Yeah, he had one
man.
last week. Trayvon Grimes, who's a former Ohio State Buckeye, transferred down there because he would be close to his mom. There's receivers all over that field for him.
Yeah.
But
okay,
that's not an excuse.
I might take this back a step.
Well, also, and by the way, minus Freiermuth, because he doesn't have Buddy Stoney throw it. He also has, and I think the way I see right now, the best tight end in college football in Kyle Pitts.
He possibly could be. Who was we talked about him. Penn State was going after him, and if we didn't have Freiermuth and if Bowers or whatever, like we would have gotten this kid.
Kyle Pitts is good, man. He's really good.
Is Pitts listed as a tight end? I thought he was lining up as a wide receiver.
He
basically lines in his slot, doesn't he?
So Penn State tried to recruit him as an athlete.
He's 6'6", 250. He's a tight end.
Well,
Penn State I think Franklin tried to recruit him as a tight end wide receiver hybrid type of guy, you know, and
he's like, no, I want to play tight end.
So I want to take a step back and looking at Florida Gators' schedule. Ole Miss, South Carolina, Texas A&M's pretty good, and they lost to them. LSU got postponed. Mizzou's awful. Georgia's pretty good. Their final games are Arkansas, who's terrible. Well, I know they crushed Arkansas by 100. Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Tennessee, and then LSU.
And then Alabama.
And then Bama.
That's
a big one. But maybe I'm too hard on the Big Ten. Big Ten's awful this year, but maybe everybody else is pretty awful.
I talked about I brought up the ACC last week.
Well, ACC's down to Big 12. I mean, we were out of the college football playoff week 5. So, I mean, everybody's down this year.
Go back to the playoff conversation. I think at the end of the year, Oklahoma might be one of the best teams in the country, and they might be in that top 4.
I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the country, but they're probably going to, by the end of the season, they'll probably end up 9, 10. I don't think they'll be top 4.
The way committees in the past have been, they look at a team who has 2 losses, they're like, no, that's not happening.
Right. Penn State in 2016.
Yep.
Right. Well, and I think, like we've talked about, I think this year, regardless of even if OU wins out, which I think is a high possibility, and we go, I think it'll be like 9-2 with the Big 12 champions. I mean, I'll be happy. That's 6 straight Big 12 championships for us, I'll take that. But I mean, with Cincinnati doing what they're doing, BYU being where they're at.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I think if it comes down to a 2-loss OU team, even though we've talked about it, if Cincinnati played OU or BYU played OU would probably be favored. Not by a lot, but OU would be favored on a neutral field. So even if everybody thinks OU is a better team, just resume-wise, they're going to put an undefeated BYU or Cincinnati, and I think it should be Cincinnati. Like I said, I think they're fucking good over OU. But one thing I want to talk about real quick, because you guys haven't.
Listen, I love Cincinnati. I love Luke Fickell. And, yeah, they are damn good. But if they're getting in, they're going in at 4, and they get Bama right off the bat, and they're getting blown out of the water.
That's true. I mean, I would like to see if they could get like a 3 seed and possibly play 2, somebody besides Bama for the love of God, but then there'd probably be Clemson.
Well, let's be honest.
You're not getting a 3 seed. That's not happening.
Can I say this? I think Bama's beatable with their defense this year. If it turns into a shootout.
Not by Cincinnati.
I mean, if it turns into I don't know. I feel like
Cincinnati is much better on offense, but you're not winning in a shootout. They're not winning in a shootout against Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State, maybe Notre Dame, but I don't even think
it's a long shot no matter what.
But I mean, before I've been high on Cincinnati and BYU, and I thought they were going to get in and blah blah blah, and then I watched Oregon.
Yeah, they look really good.
Oregon looks good. Their offense, they've got weapons Like their running back, they still got that Verdell running back that they've had for a couple years. He's incredibly good. They got this wide receiver. I forgot what his last name is, but he's like 5'8", 180. He reminds me of D'Anthony Thomas, dad.
Yep.
He's like, they run him on reverses. He's incredibly fast. And they got this quarterback. His name's Shough. It's like Shaw, but they say it like Shug or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
He's great. He threw the ball great. He moves very well, and he's very big. I think he's like 6'5". And I think he ended up, like the game I watched, with like 70, 80 yards rushing, something like that. They've got weapons. And then on the defensive end, they did lose a lot of players to opting out, but they still got, what was his name? Thibodeau, who was the number one defensive end a couple years back.
That man is a man among boys.
Yeah,
he's going to make a lot of money.
Yeah, I saw him do a play that he was on the right end. They kind of chop blocked him and hit his legs. He fell to his knees, bear crawled to the running back, and then just took him down, like on his hands and knees. Yeah. I was like, Jesus Christ, who is this kid?
I remember that he Ohio State was going after him hard.
Yeah,
like, nope, I'm going to Oregon.
And from what I've seen so far, with USC they're 2-0, but they've snuck by. UCLA's trash. Arizona's garbage. Arizona State, whatever. Like we haven't seen Utah play, but I think Oregon's going to run the table of the Pac-12.
You know what hurts about this the most is their offensive coordinator at Oregon is Tom Moorhead, and he was at Penn State. He tried to get a start. He went to Mississippi State, didn't work out, but he actually took the quarterback, the Trace McSorley's replacement. He took Trace McSorley's replacement with him. I forget, Tommy Stevens.
I remember that.
Oh yeah, I remember that guy.
And then you look at Oregon's offense now and be like, man, they're really humming. And it's like, yeah, because they got fucking Tom Moorhead, who is a stud, and think like it's hard to keep a offense coordinator from a head coaching job, especially going to the SEC and being a head coach at the SEC. But like, damn, man, like you kind of wish would have done something to keep him at Penn State. But anyhow, let's talk more about Penn State. Go ahead.
Yeah. This quarterback he's 6'5", 220, and he's has ran for 170 yards in 2 games. That's 6'5", 220.
So he can run, huh?
He can run, and he's thrown for 540 and 5 touchdowns in 2 games. So yeah, they've got weapons. By the way, if you look at his picture, he looks like a freaking tool bag. But
I think he's kind of cute, man. What are you talking about?
He's got that thing going. Yeah, but
what's with these Phoenix? He's from Chandler, Arizona.
These
damn Phoenix quarterbacks, man.
You got Spencer Rattler, Jack Miller, who's a backup at Ohio State. He's from Chandler.
Yep.
Yeah, Phoenix is putting out some players, but yeah, I think as much as I'm high on BYU and Oregon and BYU and Cincinnati, I think they're running the table. I think Oregon runs the table and they get in. Because I mean
it's not out of the only thing that would keep them from happening is if it was canceled games.
Yeah, which is like they do have Cal on their schedule, and Cal and Berkeley, they are being so tight on this. Like if they have like 3 cases, they're canceling the game. Like everybody's really expecting Cal Bears not to play a single game. Really, they played last week against UCLA, but they canceled Washington, canceled Arizona State. They was expected to cancel UCLA. They played and got waxed. But
yeah, so UCLA and Cal, I think both had their games canceled, and then I think they did a makeup game. They just played each other on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
That was an impromptu game. That was crazy.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. But yeah, so I mean, I think Alabama gets in. I think Clemson gets in. Ohio State, and then Oregon. And yeah, it's gonna be pretty much the same shit, different season. Because I mean, swap OU and Oregon, and that's what we've had.
Notre Dame just out of the conversation, just like that, huh?
You said Clemson, because if Clemson's in, that means Notre Dame's probably out.
No, yeah, because I think that Clemson will beat them in the ACC championship, and like I said last week, no team has got to their conference championship, lost
after losing,
and then made the playoff. And I think Clemson beats Notre Dame in the ACC championship with Lawrence, and that will knock Notre Dame out.
It's tough.
Nothing against Notre Dame. I still think they're a good football team, by the way.
No, I think they're
Clemson
good.
Coming in full strength, Trevor Lawrence. Good luck. Neutral field.
And I just don't think that. I mean, the ACC I mean, granted, Notre Dame's not really ACC, but the ACC is never a conference that you talk about getting two teams in. It's always Big Ten or SEC are the two conferences that could get two teams in. ACC's never been part of that conversation. Granted, Notre Dame's in there. By the way, Notre Dame should just fucking join the ACC in general.
Yeah,
we talked about that before.
And
We're not going to do it again.
No. But yeah, Big 12 always it's still rolling along. We're fun. Got Bedlam this week. Should be. I mean,
it's in Stillwater, right?
Nope.
No. Oh, Norman.
It's here in Norman. It's a 6:30 kickoff.
You got tickets?
It's a night game, huh?
Yeah, it's a night. No, I didn't. I've been offered to some, but some people are like, since they're only doing like 20% capacity, like they're asking for like $350, $375 a ticket. And I think, I mean, even when like we got a ticket for Ryan when he came down to the Ohio State Oklahoma game, I think we paid like $275 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I was like, we're not paying $350, $375 to go watch Bedlam on a game that I have season tickets to. Like, I'm going to go to the game in 2 years anyway. So I think that's a very interesting game. Going to see what Oklahoma's our defense is made of. Personally, I don't think Oklahoma State can. I don't think they have. They're not going to last all game. When it comes down to OU's weapons on offense against Oklahoma State's defensive weapons, I think they're just going to run out. Like Oklahoma State, they played West Virginia. West Virginia. It's Kansas State. Sorry, Kansas State sat there and they hung with them. They hung with them for a half, and then Kansas State just doesn't have the weapons on offense, and then Oklahoma State ended up taking off. But Oklahoma's offensive weapons don't stop. Like we just put in the next guy, and just we continue to roll.
Yeah.
And I think Oklahoma State's defense, as good as it is, Oklahoma's defense is, to me, the surprise for me this season. After the first two shit games, we're ranked, I think, 35th overall in defense.
That's better than they were last year.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll take it for sure. Their defensive line, especially ever since we got Perkins back, that D end. I think I said it last week, Jimmy. They had in the last 4 games. Granted, they haven't played much, but I mean, they've had 20 sacks and 40 tackles for a loss in the last 4 games.
Yep.
Which is incredibly good.
Oklahoma State's offensive line is
garbage. It's absolute.
They're falling on hard times this year.
Yes, their offensive line. I mean, it really is too bad because they've got an incredibly talented quarterback in Spencer Sanders. They got Chuba Hubbard at running back, and like if you guys watch, like it's hard to say because we've talked Chuba Hubbard for years now, Jim. You know just how good he is and everything. Yeah. But if you watch the game on Saturday night, Chuba Hubbard might not be. You could leave that game thinking Chuba Hubbard's not the best running back for Oklahoma State. Right. LD Brown is a fantastic. He's number 0, and that's why he sticks out. It's like a number 0 running back.
I love the 0 this year. I think it's
yeah. But yeah, he's incredibly good. Little bowling ball of 5'9", 205, averaging 6.5 yards a carry. He's very good. But I mean, they got those 2 running backs, and then obviously they got Tylan Wallace on the outside, who's
NFL bound.
Yeah, NFL bound, one of the best wide receivers in the country. Last year probably would have been up there for what's the best wide receiver award?
Is it the Bolitnikov?
Yeah, the Bolitnikov. If he wouldn't have torn his ACL last year, like 8 weeks in, he would have at least. I'm not saying would have won it, but
no, because you got
right,
there's a lot of them ahead of him. But yeah, he would have been up there.
Yeah, I mean, he missed the final 3 games of the season and finished with 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns with 3 games to go.
Wow.
He would have been in the conversation. I'm not saying he would have won, but he would have been in the conversation. So they got all those weapons, and then it's going to get pummeled by a shit offensive line. It's going to be the ending of their season. So it's a bum with that. Other than that, Big 12, I mean, we're coming down to the end, and we'll see what the hell happens. Right now, we've still got a 3-way tie at the top. It looks like it's going to be the winner of Bedlam versus the winner of Iowa State, Texas.
Nice.
Like it will be that final game. So
I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch of the Iowa State OU game.
I would like to get a little bit of revenge
very
for that
different.
Yeah. I would like to get a lot of revenge on that one.
Over beating Texas again?
Oh.
Well,
it is tough, but I mean, if I was guaranteed to win, obviously I'd take Texas. But I think I like OU's chances playing Iowa State again than going against Texas and getting into that again, because now you're getting into OU Texas, which is toss it up, see what the hell is going to happen.
Yeah,
it's quite a bit more volatile.
Yes, like I think we have a better chance of beating Iowa State, even though they beat us the first time, than we do of beating Texas again.
I would agree to that.
So, and then like we kind of talked about before, SEC has just been. This is the most boring year of SEC football I think I've ever remembered.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got 2 teams. Well, 3 if you include Georgia, because Georgia's still a good team, but they don't have no offense.
Well, you've got Bama, and you got Florida, I think 1 or 2 notches down. I mean, I think Florida's a fantastic football team, but I think Alabama would beat them. And then you've got everybody else. That's it.
Yeah.
I agree. That sucks.
Yeah, I mean, LSU's trash. Georgia's down. Tennessee is meh.
Tennessee's not good. They came in I think they were top 12 or top 15 team going into the second week of the year. It's like, man, Tennessee. I'm like, pump the brakes. Let's see what we got here. And now I think they only have 2 wins.
So what do we got for picks?
Okay.
I'm not certain.
Well, you're all right, Jim.
Moving on, yeah.
All right, so we're going to go into our picks for the week. So I did the best with what we have. We're going to start with the biggest spread and one that we can actually chat about a little bit. Indiana, Ohio State. Ohio State is a 20.5-point favorite. Jim, pick and thoughts.
You're going to let me go first, you butthole.
Yeah, because we want to hear what
not fair. All right, so I am a little bit more. Listen, I think Ohio State's going to win this game. So my question is, do I think Indiana's going to cover that minus 20.5-point spread? You look at the teams that have. Listen, like Rutgers was a huge spread. Rutgers covered. I think Penn State. I can't remember the spread on that one. It was.
I don't think Penn State covered. Yeah, I think it was close.
Yeah. It's like 7.5 points for Penn State, I think, or 6.5 points.
It was 12. I'm looking at it right here. It was 12.5. 12.5 point spread for that game. And the question is, do I think Indiana's offense is good enough to cover against Ohio State's defense? And Indiana's passing offense is their strong point. They can't run the ball very well. I think they're averaging like 100 yards a game, which is okay, but it's not great. But they're throwing the ball all over the place. Michael Penix, who looked like crap the first week, has been lights out against, like you said, Ryan, bad teams. So
I think they've played like 4 of the worst 5 teams in the Big Ten so far.
Right. So
no offense, Ryan.
Me saying that, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pick Ohio State, obviously, to win, and I think they beat that point spread. Also, I'm an Ohio State fan, and it's hard for me to pick against my team.
There you go. I'm taking Ohio State, too. I think they cover. You got to remember, Penn State's really bad. Indiana arguably beat Penn State week 1. I'll say arguably.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they probably shouldn't have won that game. Penn State probably won that game. There's a controversial couple calls at the end, but whatever. I think Indiana is a lot better than what we've ever seen Indiana be. I can't remember the last time I thought Indiana was even a competitive football team.
I would agree with that 100%, yeah.
So I do want to bring that up, by the way. I didn't pick Indiana to be a surprise out of the East just because Indiana won 8 games last year.
Yeah.
And Michael Penix was out for not quite half. I think he was out for like a third of the year.
Yep.
So that's why I didn't pick them to be a surprise, but they are technically a surprise because they look to be more competitive because they beat Michigan, Penn State. But then again, Michigan, Penn State, bad football teams this year.
Yeah, so I think Indiana's taking care of business with everyone they played. They played Penn State, they played Michigan State, they played
Michigan
Rutgers. Yeah, and Michigan, who's shit. So that's the easiest way I could put it. But I still think I'm not sure if Indiana can run with Ohio State. Ohio State will probably beat the brakes off of them, and I see them winning by more than 3 touchdowns. But yeah,
I'm gonna go Ohio State, and I think Ohio State is going to. I think it's going to be a bloodbath. I mean, if you look at so Indiana so far has played Michigan State, Michigan, Rutgers, and Penn State. Of those 4 teams, best defense by far is Penn State's.
Yeah.
Ohio State's defense is, I don't want to say much better than Penn State's, but it's considerably better than Penn State's.
Oh, yeah, they're a lot better, yeah.
Yeah. Indiana only could get 215 yards against Penn State.
I am cautious. I want to
I think
it's week 1.
I will say Indiana's looked a lot better since week 1 against Penn, because you got to remember that game against Penn State. Michael Penix Jr. looked like shit. Their offense looked like shit. They couldn't do a damn thing against Penn State. Still won the game, but Penix didn't do anything until the last drive in the 4th quarter and then in overtime. So maybe he hit his stride. Maybe they figured something out in that. Like maybe they're better now than they were.
That's true. But when you go against very good defenses, like Ohio State, like Clemson's had in the past, Bama, some of these monster defenses, when you are one-dimensional, it does not bode well for you. Like if Ohio State can get pressure with 4 guys and drop 8 or drop 7, it's over. And it's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
I don't, because there should be no threat of a run at all. Like, yeah, they're probably going to put 4 on the line. Maybe if they don't blitz, they're going to be dropping 7. Yeah. And I don't think Indiana's offense is going to bode well against that. And like we've been talking about, all that shit and everything, and Ohio State does have one of the most explosive offenses in the country. There's not many teams in the country that can run with Ohio State in that offense, let alone the Ohio State defense. Just like offenses matching them up. There's not a lot of offenses that can match with them regardless. I mean, Oklahoma, Alabama's. I mean, you're talking about the top tiers. Florida. Yeah, absolutely. Florida's in that conversation. Trevor Lawrence of Clemson. But Indiana is not in that conversation. No. So I think the differences of how much better Ohio State's offense is than anything they've seen yet. Like Indiana hasn't even sniffed an offense like this.
So I will say, not to go back on my pick or anything, but I will say you can damn near say the same. I mean, we all know Ohio State's offense is really good, but who's Ohio State played to? Like that's how bad the Big Ten is. Like you could just walk down a list of who have you played yet this year? And it's like Ohio State.
That's true. Are we talking about Indiana's defense, which I believe they're letting up points?
Yeah, just in general. But yeah, I mean, the difference is there, Ryan. I mean, Penix has played a lot better in the last 3 weeks than he did in Penn State. However, I don't trust Penix against Ohio State's defense, regardless of what he's done. I full-fledged would bet my next paycheck on Justin Fields having a good game against Indiana's defense.
Yeah, there's no question.
I would say I think Penix is going to get his numbers. Indiana's defense can't. I don't think they can stop.
I don't either. I really don't. So yeah, I think Ohio State. I think kind of like maybe the Nebraska game. Indiana might keep it close for a quarter and a half, maybe a half, just because they'll be fired up. They'll be excited to come in.
Sure.
And then Ohio State, they just kind of, drop the clutch and throw it into high gear and bye, and that's the second half. It's just
I heard somebody say one time Ohio State will never have the toughest schedule in the Big Ten because they don't have to play Ohio State.
That is a very good point.
And everybody who's coming to play Ohio State, they're like, we're going to shock the world. And they're always going to bring it. You look at the Rutgers game.
Oh, yeah, they always do.
Greg Schiano had 4 trick plays that worked, right?
Yeah.
They had some great plays. They had some great plays.
They did have some great plays. I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying, when you're coming to play Ohio State to try and shock the world, shock the fucking world.
They're gonna. Ross is pouring a whole bottle of wine and some Mio into a
Sonic cup.
Into a styrofoam cup. That is the most southern thing I've ever seen in my life.
Hey, continue to discuss it. Okay. All right, first game, our next game, Northwestern Northwestern, Wisconsin. Wisconsin 7.5. Give me Wisconsin. I like the way they're playing. It's nothing against Northwestern. I haven't watched a second of them play, so take that as well. But I do like what I've seen with Wisconsin. They went back to their bread and butter. Granted, it's Michigan, but they ran the ball for, I think it was like fucking 430 yards.
Yeah, they ran it. They ran the
so they've proved they have a passing game. They do have their running game.
And their defense
I like
good.
Wisconsin.
Yeah,
so give me Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm taking Wisconsin too. I think that's an easy one. I mean, if there is a single Indiana fan in the history of college football, I'm sorry, but the obvious number 1 and 2 in the Big Ten is Ohio State and Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin's far and above better than anybody else in the West, and small sample size of what we see in Wisconsin. They look unbeatable at this point. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, we haven't seen much, but they look really, really good.
Yeah, I am going to go with Wisconsin on this one as well. I've watched a little bit of Northwestern. They are vastly improved on offense, but when you're improving on an offense that finished in the top 100 of average offenses last year, I mean, yeah, it's good, but I mean, is it good enough to beat
congratulations.
Wisconsin? Is it good enough to beat a full-strength Wisconsin, who very likely will be full-strength this week?
Yeah, Northwestern's not going to move the ball. I don't think they're going to move the ball.
I don't think Peyton Ramsey, former Indiana Hoosier quarterback, is a very good quarterback, probably will get drafted, but very late. You know, he'll be a backup. He'll be good. I think he'll be all right. He's got good size, strength. They still got Bowser, their running back. They can still run the ball. But watching Wisconsin play, not even at full strength, against Michigan, who is bad, mind you, is bad, it looked effortless for them. They were swarming all over the ball. I agree with you, Ross. I don't think Northwestern's going to, if they move the ball, it's going to be a labored effort, and they're going to get ground out. And I think Wisconsin, who can run and throw the ball, I got them beating them probably by at least 2 touchdowns, at least.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the biggest thing, Jim, was like what you said, like for the first time watching Wisconsin play, when they line up to snap the ball, I honestly don't know if they're going to run or throw the ball. But like the first time,
they look balanced. Like that Graham Mertz looks the part. I mean, he's a freshman and he looks really good. So the future in Wisconsin's pretty damn solid, I guess.
Yep, I think he earned his spot, and the guy who was going to be, I think his name's Cone. Jack Cone or whatever his name is. He's very likely going to transfer, probably enter the portal.
Yeah. Hey, come to Penn State, we'll take you.
Yeah, well, that's true. They need a quarterback. Next, we'll go. I've already given my 2 cents. We'll talk about it. But Bedlam, OU, Oklahoma.
Who is that?
Oh, that's Northwestern's quarterback.
That's their quarterback. That's their quarterback.
I'm sorry. That's a running back.
Running back. Okay. I was gonna say that's not Peyton Ramsey.
No, that's Drake Anderson. He looks like a.
I'm gonna have to share. I'm gonna have to download that picture and put that in the YouTube version because it's great.
Jesus. Again, that dude's not running against Wisconsin. I'm sorry.
No.
So yeah,
he's working on his engineering degree and playing football at the same time.
Well, yeah, he'll be fine. He's gonna get an engineering degree from Northwestern. He'll be fine.
Good.
Yeah, he'll be fine. So next game, Bedlam, Oklahoma State in Norman. OU is a 7-point favorite. I've already kind of given my 2 cents. Give me Oklahoma. I don't think Oklahoma State's offensive line. They can't run block. They can't pass block. OU's defense is a lot better than it's been in the past, and we're actually finally causing turnovers.
Right.
I think we've got they've caused like 7 or 8 turnovers in the last 4 games. So finally taking advantage of that, and I think they'll be fun. I don't know if you guys are. What other games are at 6:30 on Saturday?
Let's see.
Stanford and who plays Stanford and who play late game?
It's Stanford and who cares?
Yeah. Looking at 6 o'clock, there's Tennessee, Auburn, Michigan, Rutgers, USC, Utah's not till 9:30.
Okay, that's the late.
Yeah, Oklahoma State is the only real game at 6:30. So watch it.
Yeah.
Watch Ramondre Stevenson play, and Marvin Mims Jr., the wide receiver.
Good.
To me, who's like the biggest recruiting anomaly on the face of the planet. I've never heard anything about it. Super excited that we got him, but I mean, he's the all-time leading yards leader in Texas high school like history. And he's not huge. I mean, but he's not tiny. He's like 5'11", but he was the 57th ranked wide receiver.
Was it because of the listen? You got to understand. There's a lot of football in Texas. A lot of football players in Texas.
If you there is a lot of football, and there's been a lot of very good football players come out. And if you're the all-time leading in anything in the state of Texas in high school football, you're doing something right.
What about interceptions?
Let me give you an example.
Fumbles?
There was a joke there, Ross. You don't understand the joke? What's wrong with you?
No, I don't. Sorry. Let me get some wine.
Leading. Okay.
Yeah, listen, let's wine, Neo, and water.
Gatorade.
That's called anyway. So
he's
let me give you an
watch.
example.
Stevenson, watch him.
It is a bit of an anomaly, but let me give you an example. And I brought his name up before. Ross, you might remember me bringing him up. Ryan, I'm not sure you have. You know who I'm talking about. The all-time rushing leader at the NCAA level at any level of all time.
Christian Hackenberg.
No, it is a running back named Nate Kamick out of Mount Union.
Yeah, I talked to my buddy about him.
Yes, yeah. Dude was off the charts, right? Played at my high school, Delta High School. Go Panthers! What up? Was I think he was the first running back to ever rush for 1,000 yards at Delta. The problem was no, not in a game. I'm sure he's the all-time rusher. I don't know where he stacks in terms of Ohio. You know, there's some good Ohio football players that come out of it, but determining at what level, right? You could be but Ross, and I'm with you when you're leading the entire state.
Okay, hold on. Let's start this again. Ryan, you know Texas high school football or high school the rating.
Where did he go?
He went to Lone Star High School, which is a 5A school.
Yeah.
Which is
was that top end?
Yeah, that's top end. His senior year, he had
top end. There's Super 5A. Super 5A is top.
Okay. End. Okay, so he's just below.
Which in Texas, that's a huge difference. I will say.
But so his senior year, he had 2,629 yards with 32 touchdowns as a senior. And he was 32 touchdowns on 117 catches as a senior. And
he was a quarterback.
No, wide receiver. And he was the number like wide receiver. I was like,
let me just take a drink. I'm gonna drink here, sit back, and that's an anomaly and a half.
Yeah, he's an anomaly. So I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm super stoked. He's wide receiver. He's kind of been Spencer Rattler's main guy. Jordan Hazelwood is back for OU. That number one wide receiver that tore his ACL. Supposed to be kind of the CeeDee Lamb-ish next guy coming in. So and obviously Ramondre Stevenson. Watch him. He's a bowling ball. He's fun. But yeah, OU by a lot.
Boom Soons.
Yeah, give me the Soons by a lot.
Next.
I have not gone yet. I am going to pick contradictory. No, I'm going OU. They're probably going to win. I mean, at a minimum, 10. You know, because it is a rivalry game. But I think OU getting 2 weeks off. Spencer Rattler's hip will probably be taken care of. Ramondre Stevenson, your defensive line is actually quite a bit better than it has been.
It has been.
And Oklahoma State's offensive line is very bad this year.
Very god awful. Okay, so we'll go to I guess the most boring pick of them all. LSU Arkansas.
I'm gonna go first because I have to use the restroom real quick. I'm gonna take Arkansas on this one because I think LSU is really bad. Also, it's mine. LSU's favored by 1.
Yeah,
so it's a pick 'em. So I'm just gonna pick LSU to win by a field goal or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I saw this coming. I think everybody saw it coming. I think LSU had of any returning championship team, they had the least amount of talent or starting talent coming back ever in the history. So I think I knew they were going to have a drop off But good Lord, man, they're so bad. I don't get it. I mean, you're still LSU. They've had some good recruiting classes, I think, over the past couple years.
They're up there in the top 10 almost every year, right?
Yeah, I mean, like to see them in the top 10, top 15, like especially top 15, but top 10 almost every year, you're kind of expected. And just seeing them draw back. Arkansas, they're better than what people think. I think they're better than the records show. They did get waxed by Florida by 28, I think. But Felipe Franks played pretty well.
Dude, they have one of the harder schedules, and like I look at Razorback's schedule. They played Georgia, who's number 4 in the country. Next week, number 16th in the country, Mississippi State. Next week, Auburn, number 13 in the country. Then they played A&M 2 weeks later, and then they played Florida 2 weeks after that. Like, holy shit!
And then the last game of the season, they got Bama.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
They've got a gauntlet. They've got an absolute gauntlet. Yeah. So, and they're 3-4. Like because of that schedule, like you said, Ryan. Like I think they are better than what they've shown.
Do you know who Arkansas reminds me of?
I do not, Jimmy. Who?
Rutgers a little bit. They're not good, but they're going to give you a fight.
Yeah. Rutgers is more along the lines of like Vanderbilt and Kansas. When it comes
to Rutgers is bad, but like
put Arkansas like maybe Purdue, like maybe a Purdue.
Or Michigan, maybe not this year, but Michigan State usually every year is pretty tough team.
Yeah. I'll give you that. Yeah, Purdue's.
How about a Big 12 Texas Tech? Texas Tech, you got to show up and play, or they'll beat you. But
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'll give you that. And LSU is bad.
They are so bad. I mean, yeah.
I mean, Arkansas is pretty effing bad too. I just looked at their schedule, their record from last year. Good Lord.
Oh, they were bad. Like they got a new head coach this year, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, and also last year they did not. I don't think they had.
They've been 2-10 2 years in a row.
Well, yeah, but they didn't have Felipe Franks, who was a big upgrade at quarterback.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which is obviously helping Arkansas. He's a senior though, which like sucks for them. God, I want to pick LSU. I do. But I think just after the ass kicking that LSU took against Auburn, who's not that great, I mean, 48-11 against a decent Auburn team just scares the shit out of me. I'm trying to pick LSU. So give me Suey Pig, Arkansas.
I'll take LSU just to go against you guys. I got to make up some picks here, but this is a tough.
Hey, listen. It worked out real great for you last week.
Hey, Jimmy. You ever see a dick? You should probably eat it. You know?
I'm not hungry. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spicy.
Anyhow,
Spicy
next.
All right. So next, USC and Utah. USC is a 2.5-point favorites. USC has had to score in the last 45 seconds of their last 2 games to win against Arizona and Arizona State. Utah, we haven't seen yet. We don't know what the hell they're going to be.
Utah has not played a game yet.
I mean, they're usually a very tough football team.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're always out there in the Pac-12 championship conversation, right?
Yeah, they're usually.
Well, not always. Last year for sure. They're in it last year.
They're always. They seem like a team that can. They're like stable. Like they're never going to be the greatest team in the world. They're never going to be the shittiest team in the world. They just kind of ride that coaster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then like last year when they've got a lot of experience all over the field, is usually their year when they're up.
Yeah.
Their head coach, who I can never remember his name, he's been there since Urban Meyer. He replaced Urban Meyer, and he's been there ever since.
Didn't they lose? I have a
Kyle Whittingham.
Kyle Whittingham has been their head coach since Urban Meyer left for Florida.
Didn't they have? I think did they lose their like all-time leading rusher last year?
I'm looking up their depth chart. I know you're talking about Ryan. He was incredibly good. I'm looking up their depth chart because I don't know. So they're starting running back. I can tell you because I know. I don't know. They're starting running backs. Devin Brumfield. Don't know. So it's not their. I think he went to the NFL, Ryan. That running back you're talking about.
Yeah. So
yeah. They lost a lot of experience. Last year they had a lot of upperclassmen.
USC seems like they got a quarterback this year. I think because he's
a sophomore.
Yeah, he's a sophomore
He's
this year.
yeah. And they got good wide receivers.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown is.
I'm gonna take USC in there. I'm gonna take USC in this one, especially. What'd you say it was? 2 points.
2.5 points. USC.
2.5.
Oh, and by the way, if you're looking at the ESPN predictor, 55.3% has Utah to cover.
They're never right. No, they're never right, and I am always right. And I pick my picks
are very true.
Listen. The fans of the podcast,
locks of the week.
All 9 of them, they know where you're at. That's an Aqua Teen Hunger Force reference, and I greatly appreciate that.
I am going to go with USC. I don't trust USC a lot going forward. I mean, like if they play Oregon or anything like that, I think they're going to get waxed. However, from what we've seen in this COVID season, with Oklahoma, Texas stumbled, Penn State's not what we thought they were, and every team, even Ohio State, when you guys played Nebraska, your first half wasn't blow me out of the water. Like you guys didn't come out of the gates and just charge.
Right. And the second half against Penn State, like it seems like Ohio State almost takes a half off every. Well, those 2 games at least.
Yeah. Penn State and Rutgers second half was rough.
Yeah, I think to me the biggest point in this game is USC has played 2 games, and Utah has played 0.
Right.
So they're going to be coming in, and there's going to be a lot of rust, and USC is going to be firing, ready to go. And I think USC jumps out to a lead, and with the offense that they have, is going to keep it.
Yeah, I mean that's. You think about that, like you think of the Big Ten getting a late start, you think, I mean, the Pac-12 getting a late start's an understatement, and then for Utah not to play their first game,
first two games,
yeah, maybe they got more time to practice, maybe it goes the other way, maybe this team has more time.
They don't practice. They don't hit each other anymore in practice.
We're talking about practice.
If they're in there doing like Oklahoma drill and like full pads, okay, I get it. Yeah. But they're playing like flag, not just them. Everybody plays like flag football at practice. So
yeah. Game speed and practice speed are 2 different things.
Oh no, we got one more.
Hold on, I haven't gone yet. I'm going USC.
Jimmy,
as
you're
well.
Forgettable. That's all I'm saying.
All right, well, that's been the Blue Buck and Blue podcast for you, ladies and gentlemen. I won't be back next week. Shit. Anyway,
it's now the Boom and Blue.
I'm gonna go USC. I agree with you 100%. Utah has yet to play a game. USC's gotten 2 and shown the toughness to come back and win late. Even if Utah were to come out and not have as much rust as you guys think they might have, but I think they are going to have. And USC has the toughness and shown it, and 2 games on them to come back and at least win by a touchdown or a field goal late, if that is needed. The other thing is, like I said, Utah was very upperclassmen heavy last year. I have not looked to see how many returning starters they actually have, but I'm willing to bet it's pretty low. And USC still has Keaton Slovis, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and 2 games on them. So I'm going to take USC on this one.
Yeah, I think. Last game, and to me, minus Bedlam, might be the most interesting game of the week. Cincinnati UCF. Cincinnati is a 6-point favorite. Ryan, you gave a meh look.
We'll take Cincinnati on this one. I don't know if is UCF that good. Like I mean, Cincinnati is rolling and dumping points on everybody.
Listen. UCF, I believe they've got at least a loss. I know they got 1.
That Tulsa beat them.
Yeah, Tulsa beat them. Dylan Gabriel has thrown for 2,774 yards, 23 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
So, Ryan, to answer your question, They won their first 2. They lost the next 2 against Tulsa and Memphis, and now they've rattled off 3 straight, scoring 51, 44, and 38.
Seems like they've got it rolling. I'm taking Cincinnati. What'd you say? 6.5?
6.5.
Yeah, Cincinnati covers that.
No, it's 6. It's 6.
Okay, 6.
Just
it's 6. Okay,
That's
okay. I had it 6.5.
Actually, okay, since it's 6, I'm definitely going to take Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cincinnati, and I think it's going to be pretty bad. I mean, Cincinnati, people are sitting there talking about it like, Ryan, you're saying like, they're dumping points on everybody. They have in their last 4 games. It's been 42, 49, 38, 55. But shit, let's go. They've scored 55, 24, 28, 42, 49, 38, and 55. Granted, they play in the American Conference. Get that. But the strength of this team is the defense. They haven't allowed more than 13 points but once.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
They've allowed 10, 7, 13, 10, 10, 13. Like, so to be scoring like that, like I think like Cincinnati is just rolling through everybody. I think they're going to roll through UCF next week. Temple. That Cincinnati Tulsa game at the end of the season might be interesting.
And I think there's a motivation factor in this too. Like, who's their coach? Is it Fickle?
Luke Fickle.
Yeah, Fickle. Like, he's got to be talking to his players, saying, "Hey, we got to show the college football playoff committee, whatever the fuck they are, we need to show them that just because we're in the AAC, like we got to be able to dump points on everybody." I don't think that train slows down at all. I think they like pull back at all and say, "All right, well, everyone take it easy." Like they're going for 50 points every single game. Like, and they're gonna keep that humming. And if they keep that humming, then they got a chance to get to the playoffs. And I think that's like a motivating factor for them.
100%. Well, and that team, and going back, like just kind of saying, side note, when they're talking about Oregon, when I listened to them, they said Oregon's only playing 6 games. If they won in that playoff, they better fucking score 60, 70 points a game.
Yeah.
So if you have a chance to watch Oregon, regardless of who they're playing, turn on the TV because you're going to see some fireworks.
Nah, fuck Tom Moorhead. You gotta go kill himself.
I still think his name is Joe Moorhead, but you keep saying Tom, so I'm not sure.
It's his friends call him Tom, so.
We're like
Joe Tom, Joe T. Moorhead.
Joe Tom. His name's Joe Tom.
T stands for buckets.
Buckets.
T stands for buckets. I was trying to find defensive stats for UCF. I see that they don't let up a lot of points, like Houston 21, Temple 13. Tulane, who's okay, 34. And I wanted to see where they were at defensively because Cincinnati, who is primarily known for their defense, obviously, has been putting up points lately. Like Ritter, who is a running quarterback, he's not throwing the ball.
I love Ritter, man. He's fun.
He's protecting the ball, and then you're hard pressed to try and stop him running the ball because the dude can move. Dude is straight up an incredibly good runner. He cannot pass the ball. Yeah, UCF right now is allowing 28.7, ranked 60. I am going to go Cincinnati on this one. Like all around, the only reason I was doing that was to extend some time so I could look up UCF's numbers on defense. Obviously, if this is a bigger spread, I'm going to go UCF because UCF can score points. And it's going to be really interesting to see UCF's passing game against Cincinnati's defense, which as of right now, Cincinnati's defense is ranked 3rd in points allowed in the entire country. And granted, it's a weird year. Everything is sort of offset and everything like that. So the numbers are kind of off balance. But yeah, give me Cincinnati on this one. I don't know if it's going to be a blowout. Do you consider 2 touchdown win a blowout? That's not a blowout.
No, I'd say 20 plus is a blowout.
Yeah,
20 plus a blowout. I'd say about like a 2 touchdowns and a field goal is my guess. Cincinnati wins.
So not quite a blowout, but 17 points.
You said 20 or up.
Jesus, Jimmy.
Listen, no. You're not allowed to bring this back on me. You said 20 or over is a blowout.
I did. You're like, it's not gonna be a blowout. It's probably me 17 points. Okay.
I said probably.
Uh-huh.
By the way, we all picked the exact same teams this week.
I thought Ryan picked one different.
Oh yeah, that's right. Right, sorry. Ryan picked
LSU.
LSU like an idiot.
Yeah, so Jimmy, remember? So Jimmy, yeah, send me that shit before you post it because you're an idiot.
I will send it because math is hard, and I'm not a real life gambler. All right, I got it.
We get
saved.
to the NFL.
They're locked.
Football.
Well, we got NFL. We got to talk a little bit of NBA because the NBA is about to get insane.
Yeah,
I got a little bit of
Oklahoma City draft lottery meme. That's pretty funny.
Well, there's a lot of other.
That was good.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in the NBA. Well, okay, cool. Before we get to the NFL, just because I'm the only one that talks NBA, we got the NBA draft on Wednesday. Should be interesting.
That's crazy.
Free agency will start, I think, on Friday. The biggest news. The funny is, we're talking about like the Thunder have traded Dennis Schroeder, who was our tied for leading scorer, sixth man of the year. He's going to LA to play with the Lakers. That's a big pickup for them. We traded Chris Paul to the Suns to play next to Devin Booker, who's a stud. But the biggest news that just and DeMar DeRozan is looking to get traded to the Lakers.
All right.
Which is big. And that's not even the biggest news. The biggest news right now came out.
See you, Jimmy.
Talk
to you later.
Jimmy. All right, so Jimmy's gone. But the biggest news is they're talking that James Harden is trying to force a trade to go play with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant in Brooklyn.
Yeah. Oh my God. I thought we were getting away from this shit.
Like that would make one of the most absurd teams. When you have Kevin Durant, Harden, and Kyrie, I mean, in the East, I mean, Giannis is if Giannis is sitting there because he can opt out if he wants. He's got a fifth-year option that he can opt back in for this last year.
Is Jay-Z still running the Nets?
No, I think he sold his share.
No, he's an owner. He's not a GM.
I thought he sold his share to that Russian dude.
Well, I know some people did, but I mean, like, if you're Giannis and you're seeing this happen and you're the Bucks, I mean, if you see that happen at Brooklyn, you just got beat by Chicago. No, wrong. Chicago was great with Jimmy B, or Miami. Sorry, they're great with Jimmy B. But if you got beat by Jimmy B in Miami, Brooklyn's going to smack you 3 times up one side and 10 times down the other if they have James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving. So at that point, he might opt out and try to go join somebody like Golden State, or because everybody's going to offer him a max contract. Everybody.
Yeah.
The owner of the Brooklyn Nets is Joseph Tsai. He's a Taiwanese, Hong Kong, Canadian billionaire, businessman, and philanthropist.
Taiwanese, Hong Kong, Canadian, American, German, French,
Brazilian. Just throw Brazilian in there for fun.
And he's Iron Man, apparently. I don't
know.
No. So my thing is, Jimmy, you kind of touched on it there. It's like, we still doing this? Yes, we are still doing it, but more teams are getting involved, which is kind of leveling the playing field. And that's kind
fair.
of what I like.
That's fair.
It was LeBron in Cleveland and bringing in, or having Kyrie there and then bringing in Kevin Love and creating a super team. He did it in Miami. Now he's doing it in LA. It's like,
I think it started with Boston when they had KG, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce. But that's the big thing, Ryan. Like you're saying, like, it's because I hated it, like, especially, I mean, when KD joined Golden State, like, we all knew who was going to win the championship.
You had a little bit of stake in that, so I could see you.
Well, but when it happened, we all knew who was going to win the championship the next year. I mean, it wasn't even going to be close. This year, I mean, all this has happened, but you still got LA. I
think everyone assumed LA was going to win the championship this year.
Yeah. But this year we have LA, you have Brooklyn. There's some other pieces moving around. I do think, and this is not just kissing ass. I think a dark horse will be Dallas. They do have Porzingis. They do have Luka, who's the biggest up and coming star of.
Yeah, he's otherworldly, man. He's an awesome player. Like,
I don't know if we've ever seen a kid like this. And what
because you see players like that kind of take a back seat and let it, like, he came into the league and said, I'm the best player on the court. I don't give a fuck who you guys are.
Right. Well,
but he didn't say it. He just showed it.
Yeah.
No, he did it with his play.
Yeah, he did it with his game. Like, so, and I hate to bring it to this level, but I don't want to do it. Oh, we'll talk about it after. I want to talk about it. I will say,
if Dallas can add a third player and Porzingis could stay healthy with Luka and you got a playmaker on the outside that could do it all. You have Porzingis that can play inside, outside, and hit an outside shot, which is a very big thing. If they could add that third piece of a third scorer that is legit, I think they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. I don't think that you pencil them in, but that's a team that, like, come playoff time, you're gonna be like, you better watch Dallas. You better watch Dallas.
You still have to talk about Denver too. Like, I'm in here in Denver.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, they were one game away from the finals, weren't they?
Yeah,
they're like, fantastic.
And honestly, I live in Denver, and no one maybe I'm not in the right circles, but I don't hear many people talking about the Nuggets. They're almost like,
you probably heard from me, and that's it.
All right. Yeah. But they're almost like the Grizzlies when the Grizzlies were good there for a little bit. No one talked about the Grizzlies. No one gave a shit about the Grizzlies. Like, I think no one talks about the Denver Nuggets, but the Denver Nuggets are a really damn good team, and they're good all the way through, defensive, offensive. Like, they're
well, and solid. Jamal Murray, the young point guard, he's a star. Like, I don't even want to say star in the making. He is a star.
He's a star.
Jokic, he's probably the best big in the league, and that's including Anthony Davis. He's probably the best big in the league.
He does everything.
Yeah, he is fantastic, and they got a bunch of guys that have bought into what they do. Yeah, Denver's like, Denver reminds me a lot of like San Antonio Spurs through like the 2000s. Like, everybody was always talking about like the Heat with LeBron and the Cavs and what the fuck's going on, and then or even when the Golden State Warriors won 75
73
games, 73, like whatever they won, and then you look over and it's like, oh fuck! Well, San Antonio won 69, but nobody's talked about them at all. Like, they they quietly just won games, and that reminds me of Denver. Like, nobody talks about them, but I think they finished with the third best record in the West, maybe second. They're good. So as much as all the super teams is happening, the Oklahoma City Thunder are doing the most amazing job of rebuilding ever. Every other franchise could bow down to the Thunder. They have 16 first-round draft picks in the next 5 years.
That's so crazy.
That's insane.
Granted, the NBA is very weird and fickle with their drafts. Like, they'll be like, hey, I'll give you my first-round draft pick, and in the next 3 years, if it's not in the top 5, you get it. After that 4 years, it becomes a second-round pick. It's like, I don't understand all the ins and outs, but if it falls in,
you can have our first round pick, but if our head coach, stubs his toe on a Wednesday, then
there's all sorts of things. If everything falls in Oklahoma City's favor, they're going to have 16 first round draft picks.
Yep.
Which is just absurd.
Yep.
So I'm fully prepared.
I'll be looking forward to the draft. Who do we got in the draft that's like?
So we've got Little Ball.
Yep. He's been overseas for a year, right?
Yeah, and he is
2 years, right?
I will say,
2 years?
I don't.
Feels like 2 years.
I think his dad's a piece of trash.
Yes.
But
he's kind of fallen off. No one hears about.
Because like his LeVar. But yeah, because LaMelo, the guy coming in this draft, he's done it right. He cut off his dad. Like, he signed, like, LaMelo signed with, I think it was Puma or Adidas. Like, he signed, like, he didn't sign with a big baller brand to try to build that. He signed the real thing, and like, when that happened, his dad cut him out of their reality TV show and all sorts. And LaMelo's like,
he's like, "Cool, I'm gonna go be the number one pick in the NBA draft."
Yeah, he was like, "Cool, I'm out."
Awesome.
Like, see ya.
I didn't know that.
Which you got to give Daddy a little bit of props. Is like, his dad has something to do with him being a number one draft pick. Like,
he does.
Well, here's the question. Here's the question. If his dad has something, so is he a number one draft pick because he went to go play pro overseas? Or would he still playing in college in the United States?
Yeah,
still be the number one draft pick.
Well, I just mean, like, growing up, I'm sure his dad beat basketball into him and like, hey, if you want to make it the bigs, you got to do this stuff. And I'm sure he had something to do with it. But obviously,
I'm all for building a work ethic for your kid, but not because you want money off of his back.
Right.
Which is exactly what he's doing.
Right. Well, he is. And to answer your question, Jim, I mean, we don't know, what would have happened. But to me, LaMelo is arguably up in there. If he's not first, he's going to go top 3. That's a given. But he's there because he's a 6'6", 6'7" point guard who scored 75 points in a high school game, can shoot from 40 feet, can throw it down, average 7 points overseas. Like, this kid does it all.
Yeah, he's good.
He is incredibly good. So, regardless of what his dad did, that's why he's just going to argue up there. Because he's just stupid talented. He's incredibly talented. Up there, like the other ones that are up there is the Anthony Edwards. He's a guard from Georgia. He will be good. He'll be a starter. He's not going to be a superstar. The other big one is the James Wiseman kid out of Memphis who opted out in the middle because Penny Hardaway recruited him and all that shit.
Yeah, that was dumb. He helped him move or something like that when he was like 12.
Yeah, no, Penny Hardaway paid for his parents to move to Memphis when the kid was 5 because his parents needed help and Penny was good friends with her parents.
Yeah.
And because of that, NCAA said he couldn't play.
That's stupid.
That's bullshit, man.
Yeah, it's absolutely stupid. So, there's a lot of good talent. Melo is we don't know yet because he's young and we'll see. But there's no Zion this year. Like this guy that you're just like, holy shit, like this guy's a stud. But there's a lot of very good talent, so we're gonna be fun. And I mean, with all the trades, NBA of all the major sports, to me, NBA offseason is the most fun. They make crazy draft picks, free agency stuff, drafts. Like there's trades left and right.
And Detroit will do nothing.
Detroit's actually looking to trade possibly Blake Griffin for Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, I heard Westbrook wants out of Houston, so.
Yeah. So we'll see what
it'll be fun to watch at least.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens in the NBA. It's always
fun. We're getting along. Let's move on to NFL. Let's hit NFL real quick and then we'll sign off.
Okay, so first thing I'll say is Bryce, thanks for the meme. He posted a meme, MVP of the Arizona Cardinals, Bill O'Brien, and it has a picture of DeAndre Hopkins making a catch over the whole Bills team.
I that was something I was going to bring up. You've got 2 quarterbacks in Arizona and Buffalo. Watching them play against each other, either one is going to at least possibly have an MVP at some point. They both played great.
Yeah. We'll see.
D-Hop helps. D-Hop helps with that last catch.
I want to touch on D-Hop. Like we've talked about him early in the season.
Josh Allen. Josh Allen's really good.
Yeah, he's really good. DeAndre Hopkins wants it more than anybody else in the league. I think it's kind of apparent. Like he just that play exemplifies like his career. Like he just I don't think he is the most talented. I mean, he is an extremely talented wide receiver, but I think the reason he's so talented is just because he is a harder worker and wants it more than anybody else in the field. And I think he shows that time and time again.
I'll give you that. And I think the main reason is because if I had to say who the most talented wide receiver in the league is, it's Julio Jones. And I think it's Julio Jones by a long shot on the most God-given talent.
Yeah.
Right.
I think he's got the most God-given. Julio Jones got the most God-given athletic ability. He is absurd. But Hopkins, like that pick. I've watched that catch like 5 times, and I have no fucking clue how he comes down with that ball.
No idea.
He's
draped by 3.
It's such a cliche, and I hate cliches, and I try to not say them, but that is so true with DeAndre Hopkins. He just wants it more. And he's gonna work harder than you to get the ball. Like that's just what he does. You know?
Okay, can we let's talk about one thing. Don't get me wrong. DeAndre Hopkins had a fantastic catch, but what Kyler Murray had to do to even get out of the situation in the pocket, and like nobody talks about that he like spun out of it across his shoulder, just rocketed it 50 yards. Right. Hopkins made a fantastic, absolutely fantastic catch, and will be up there for Play of the Year. But Kyler Murray to even get to that situation.
Yeah,
was very impressive.
Yeah, he's really good. Tom Brady makes a comeback this week.
Had a great.
As long as we don't play the Saints, they're fine. As long as the Buccaneers don't play the Saints, they're good.
Okay, so quickly moving along. Tom Brady looks great this year. Going to the Saints. Drew Brees has broken ribs and a punctured lung. I don't know how long, and now they got to rely on Jameis Winston to win them football games, and they're on a playoff road. Like the Saints they're heading to the playoffs, right? It looks like it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll get there.
But Jameis Winston, I mean, it's a coin flip damn near every game. Like I don't know how that's going to work out for them.
Jameis Winston is a coin flip when the quarter lands on its side, because you're going to get 3 touchdowns, but you're going to get 3 interceptions.
Right.
Maybe 4 interceptions. We don't know.
So. Romo, so not to take this back to the Cowboys, but I will because I'm a Cowboys fan and everyone can go F themselves. But Romo punctured a lung and broke his ribs in a game, ended up playing the second half. I think it took him he was out for 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks.
I don't remember, but I remember him getting hurt. I don't remember how long he was out.
Right, and this is later in Drew Brees' career. I don't know how long he's going to take to get this healed up, but it sounds really bad, like collapsed lung, like broken ribs. Like maybe that's a season ender, but I haven't seen any medical reports on it or anything, so I'm not sure. So we'll see if Drew Brees gets back.
So in the NFL, do you think like revenge is as big a thing as it is in college?
No.
I was just say because Kansas City plays the Raiders this week, and the Raiders are their one loss.
Yeah. Hey, Raiders put it to the Broncos are as bad as I thought they were at the beginning of the year. Like I'm starting to see things where I'm like, okay, they're maybe not as bad. Their defense, they play hard, they play tough, they run the ball pretty well, they do things like Drew Lock can make a play or two. Kansas City is probably going to beat them by a shit ton. So the Raiders beat the shit out of the Broncos this week, and it's now that I'm looking at it, and it's like, okay, the Broncos aren't that good, which might mean the Raiders are kind of okay. Like I don't know,
I look at the Raiders and I think they're on the same level. I look at the Raiders and I look at them on the same level as like the Browns, but they beat the Browns.
Dude, I'm if there was a Browns train, I'm 100% off that bad boy. Like not to bang on the Browns like I do every single podcast, but I mean,
no.
Hey, I did read one thing. And this is, I wish my quarterback at Penn State would have told my running back at Penn State the same thing, but Baker Mayfield told Nick Chubb, do not score a touchdown. I'm going to give you the ball, do not score a touchdown. And he ran 57 yards or whatever it was and took a knee and hit the ground.
No.
You say what you want about Baker's. I mean, I haven't looked at his stats. Obviously, they're probably awful this week against Houston.
Because they ran the ball for 300 yards. They had 2,
I
think Chubb and Hunt both had over 115 yards.
Chubb had 126, Kareem Hunt had 104. So
he didn't have to throw the ball.
Back to what Cleveland needs to do. They get Nick Chubb. This is his first game back from getting injured against the Cowboys. They get him back, and that's what they need to do. They need to have 2 over 100-yard rushers. Let them do their thing. Baker obviously didn't have that good of a game, but
that Kareem Hunt signing.
If you run the ball for 250, you don't have to do good.
I mean, they 7-10 against the Texans, who are a fucking dumpster fire. I mean, you got to be able to do more than that to win football games. I mean, they did win. Not taking that away from them, but
I was gonna say they're still 6-3. Yeah, I mean, you could argue what you want about them. They're still 6-3.
That is very correct.
And might not make the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because they play with Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they got to play Pittsburgh, by the way, who are 9-0. Greatest start in franchise history, going back to 1933.
Yeah, and I was high on the Steelers, and this is hard to say. I mean, I was high on the Steelers 2 or 3 weeks ago, right? I thought they were probably, if they're up there in best team in the AFC. Like I know the Chiefs are awesome, they're great, but Steelers are good, both sides of the ball. Their defense is really good. When I saw them play the Cowboys, I was like, okay. There's something.
Yeah, they looked it was rough. You had said it. You said they looked beatable, and granted, they are 9-0, and it's the greatest start they've ever had in since 1933. But I do think they can be beat, right? But the one thing that
they beat the shit out of the Bengals this week too. So
the one thing that stands out to me is
that's a woohoo.
Like I said it, like they're great. They're not great. Well, they're great on defense. Like their front seven is phenomenal. Passing defense is not great. Offense is enough. Like they're balanced, but not dominant everywhere. Kansas City, not great on defense, phenomenal offense.
Yeah, I mean, in the AFC, I mean, Pittsburgh's 9-0, and don't get me wrong, they look good at times and they don't look good. I mean, I still have Kansas City coming out of the AFC. Granted, we've only seen it one game, and it was a very close one, very, very close one. But if they match up, I mean, we're going to see in a couple of weeks. But I mean, just because Baltimore is 6-3, Baltimore can beat Pittsburgh. Baltimore could very much beat Pittsburgh. They didn't, but I mean, it was 26-24. It's not like you guys blew them out of the water. It was right there, and Baltimore had that game won, and then you guys came to that at the end. We'll figure out in 2 weeks. I think they play again. These 2 weeks.
Lamar Jackson did not look great against New England.
And they lost.
It could be he's just sort of struggling, or people are starting to figure him out a little bit.
By the way, have you seen the quotes out there? The memes and stuff. They say Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray is what Lamar Jackson wants to be.
I've not seen that.
And granted, the only thing, like Kyler Murray, obviously he can throw the ball a lot better than Lamar Jackson.
Kyler
Murray in running skill can run the ball better than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's just in a lot bigger body. Like if Kyler Murray tried to run like Lamar Jackson runs, he's going to get smacked up in the next week. But Lamar Jackson's 6'3", 215, 220, and Kyler Murray's like 3 foot nothing and weighs $110 sopping wet.
A little bigger than that.
so going through the records for these teams, I mean, Dolphins are 6-3. Like
Dolphins and Colts.
Raiders are 6-3.
Yeah, Colts are in first place in their division, and the Dolphins have gone. Did I say the Dolphins?
Yeah,
sorry, the Colts. The Colts are first place in their division, and then the Dolphins have won 3 straight since starting Tua.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to the awful part of the NFL, which is called the NFC East.
Oh my God. So bad.
The Eagles are in first place at 3-5-1. Like, this is the of all NFL I've watched my whole life, this is the worst division I've ever seen in NFL history.
I've never.
I think there was a big question. I think that was it early 2000s or something. It was before the Niners and the Seahawks were good. It was the Niners, Seahawks, Arizona, and it was when the Rams were in St. Louis and they were terrible. That was maybe a close second of like the worst division in football. I think the team that won that division won like 6 games or 7 games.
I know what you're talking about. It was Pete Carroll's early days in Seattle.
Yeah,
that's when we got the beast mode run, wasn't it? That's when we got the beast mode run.
No, that was later.
Okay.
It was they made the playoffs with a losing record.
Yeah,
because the division was so bad.
As bad as that division was, it doesn't hold a.
Philadelphia Eagles, I think, will win this division with 5 or 6 wins.
That is
very possible.
And I've always said, don't ever change the playoff structure. Division leaders always get in. And this is the hardest thing for me to say because it's the Cowboys division. Like, I don't want to change anything. But it's pretty bad when a team that the Eagles might win this. I mean, they might win.
Yeah, we don't know.
The Giants.
They're not head and shoulders above everybody else.
Redskins are 2-7. What are the Cowboys? 2-6.
No, it says 3-5 Eagles, or 3-5-1 Eagles.
3-5-1,
3-7 Giants, 2-7 Washington. Oh, so that's what I heard today. Like they're saying that the Eagles get in at 5-10-1. Like they would get in by half a game. Like somebody will tie, like match them, but like the tie is going to get the Eagles in.
Dude,
that is so
embarrassing. So I have been saying all year, I'm like, I think the Eagles, and this is painful me. As much as Ross hates Texas and Jimmy hates Michigan, I hate that's my route. I hate the Eagles more than anything, and I kept saying this year, I'm like, I think the Eagles will figure it out. I think they'll rattle off a fuck ton of wins at the end of the year. They play in this shit division. They'll beat the Cowboys again. They'll beat the Redskins. They'll beat the Giants. I'm not on that train anymore. I think they're just as bad as all.
They just
three
lost
of the
to
other
the Giants, and the Giants are trash.
Right.
Yeah, I think they lost by like they lost by like 2 scores, right?
If you want to talk about the most balanced division in football, NFC's got it locked up because they are all the shittiest teams I've ever seen. That is an even division. I mean, they're all in the playoff hunt.
Listen, we're talking about Alex Smith, who broke his leg, almost lost his leg.
Literally had a leg transplant a year ago.
Yeah,
Ed McCaffrey came in and gave him his broken. Ed McCaffrey gave him his broken leg, and that's what he put on him. Yeah,
and they're trying to push that story hard, and nobody cares.
No,
nobody cares.
Yeah, that's well, and then granted, I think they're gonna do 16 teams in the playoffs. Is that what it is? They extend. The
whatever.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So I mean, but you're talking about like you're talking about like. What?
There's an extra team, and there's an extra team, right?
Yeah, it's like one extra team. Right now, I was looking at the
6
wild
now,
card rankings.
So 12, so 14, I think. I guess.
Okay, but yeah, so like you're talking about, like in this year's different because they'll probably get in, but like switching the playoff situation, like somebody in the East is getting in, which is trash, and the NFC West has the Cardinals that are 6-3, the Rams that are 6-3, and the Seahawks that are 6-3, and on a regular season. More than likely, one of those teams ain't getting in.
Yeah.
They'll
get in this year.
Yeah, they'll get in this year.
You know what? And that's an interesting point because like the NFC, usually you've got really bad teams kind of sporadically spread out through they're all in the NFC East.
Yeah, they're all literally all the teams are good except for the NFC. Everyone just beats the shit out of the NFC East teams. But so you say that, but I mean. You look at the other AFC divisions. I mean, the Colts and Titans are both 6-3. We got the Steelers and Ravens that are going to be. I mean, Steelers will probably win that division. Ravens will fight for a.
Why'd you go back to the AFC when I was talking about the NFC?
Because
You're an idiot. That's why.
Wait, where am I?
He's doing a full comprehensive.
You're an idiot because I was talking about the NFC.
Okay, yeah. So.
Because the Saints and Bucks, they're both probably getting in.
Okay.
Even without I don't know how long Breeze is out. I haven't seen anything, but I think he'll keep them. I think Winston will keep them afloat until Breeze gets back. So I think those two teams get in. I'm talking about regular season, not this extended shit. You got the Packers will get in, and then between the Cardinals, Rams, and Seahawks. I mean, there's only 2 wild card teams. So if the Buccaneers say take one of it, that only leaves one wild card for those 3 teams. One of them gets the division, then one team's going to get left out, and then the 5-inch trash or whatever Eagles get in.
Or Cowboys. Cowboys run the table, make the playoffs, win the Super Bowl. Easy.
Garrett Gilbert, savior of the Cowboys.
Dude. By the way, so we were looking at him. I don't know if we talked about him last week, but was he?
Yeah, a little bit.
Was he the backup at Texas, or where did he go to college?
He was at Texas. He got replaced by
Ellinger,
and then Gilbert transferred to SMU and played a year or 2 at SMU.
Okay.
Yeah, actually played in the AAF. I looked that up. The American football. You remember that before the XFL came out.
Okay, so let's
the one that.
We've been going along. Let's get real.
Yeah.
NFC, nobody gives a fuck about this year. Thanksgiving football or nobody gives a shit about this week. Next week is Thanksgiving football. That's the fun shit. Regardless of who plays, we'll all be watching football on Thanksgiving. That's just what we do.
Belly's full of delicious food and alcohol and.
Yeah, I'm going to be filled with booze because I'm gonna have like 37 people at my house. I don't want to blow my brains out. So we've got that going for us.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, let's sign off on this one, boys. Let's sign off. So give us a follow on Facebook at the Boom Buck and Blue Podcast. Give us a follow, give us a share, please. Always thank you. Go to YouTube, follow us at Boom Buck and Blue Podcast. Instagram, I have not been doing much Instagram at Boom Buck and Blue.
You don't Insta, huh, Jim? You don't Insta?
No, I have not been so much lately on our podcast page, but please give us a follow. If you've got any questions, shoot us an email at I think it's at boombuckandbluepodcast at gmail.com. Don't follow us on Twitter because we don't effing use it ever.
Nope.
And it's a cesspool. And that's all I got. Closing statements from you, gentlemen.
I'm out, bitches.
Nice. I ain't got much to say. Hopefully Penn State gets this win this week. I got a new starting quarterback. Things are looking up. Hey,
let's go Hawkeyes.
Here we are. Back to Penn State football. Wow.
Hey,
and the Cowboys. Just throw them in there too. Fuck it.
Hey, let's go Penn State. Let's go Indiana. Go in there and beat the shit out of Ohio State. And
mind you pick them
Ohio
to lose. Anyway, all right. Bye.
Bye, people.